Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, February 26th, 2026 Board of Selectmen and Finance Appropriation and Advisory Committee meeting. It's 6:35 p.m. And we are meeting in room 321A at the Dudley Municipal Complex. This meeting is being recorded. Typically, without objection, the chair of the Board of Selectmen will facilitate item 5 on the agenda with the understanding that the FAA chair will chair the FAA committee concurrently. However, there's no quorum, so we'll just kind of move it along then. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, approval of minutes, February 9th, 2026. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes of February 9th, 2026.
Second.
Any corrections, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Do we have anyone for citizens' comments? No, moving right along. Great. Reappointment, Mary Palazzo, to Board of Registrars, term to expire March 31st, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. Number 5, fiscal 2027 budget requests. We're going to start with the Agricultural Commission. Can you just bear with me? If you want to have a seat.
That's okay.
Okay.
Hobble up there. Try with one crutch.
Yep, so just for reference, this is a line item in the selectmen budget, $2,500, on page 1.
Okay, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Linda Lorkevich, the chairwoman for the Dudley Agricultural Advisory Commission, and I would like to request from the board for the $2,500 to be put in the budget. And this year, we're not getting any grant money from Mass Cultural Council. So, and our funds would be used primarily like we did last year. We purchased some strawberry plants for the Strawberry Festival to help promote gardening, and that went over pretty good. A lot of people took them. And the Agricultural Reading Day at Dudley Elementary, the kids loved it. And what we did is we gave books to each one of the students to take home, and that was a big hit with them. And we had a question and answer session afterwards. And what else we used the money for was sponsoring some workshops that were held at the library for like herbal classes. There were a couple of different ones that they did, and those were all completely filled. So that went to good use, and it went over very well with a lot of the people. They keep asking for more, but it comes with an expense. And let's see. And we'd be using it for other giveaway items too. And we were looking at possibly doing an ag day, like at the beginning of September. I'd sent you an email about it. It was a long one.
Yeah.
You know, with some information of what we were thinking of. And we haven't gotten back to meeting yet. We're doing that next week because we usually take the winter and the middle of summer off because being farmers, you can't do much.
Right.
So we're possibly looking at it. We're not sure yet. So when I do the meeting next week, we'll see if they still want to participate in it. And I'm not sure this year if we're going to be doing the plant hop because a couple of the people aren't going to be available that weekend. So let's see. So if we do the ag event, we would use it for like promotional stuff, the publications to let people know. And we were looking at possibly linking it with the opening of the park or doing something in conjunction with it. It's just a thought. It's nothing that's etched in stone yet that we really want to do this. So, like I said, I had sent you something for your thoughts too. So please consider the $2,500. It's not much, but it's big help for us.
No, absolutely. I know that in the past, all of the funding that you've gotten has gone to good use.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, the pictures after the fact of some of these events, like I haven't been able to go myself, which is such a bummer because it's such a, like, it just looks like a really good time.
Yeah, the kids love the pumpkins when we do the pumpkins in the fall. And we plan on doing it maybe again this year, because I was on commission last year, so I couldn't do it and get the pumpkins and get everything set up there and everything. But the kids absolutely go crazy for that. So, I mean, and it's a way to bring, you know, some sort of agriculture to them. We're trying to get people to participate more with growing things and, you know, plant the seed of gardening. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Or
Plant hop, that might not happen, huh?
Yeah, we're not sure about that. Because a couple of the people that were doing it last year, they're not available, so, and they were the main supporters of it. And that one really didn't cost us anything. We have the signs already purchased, and it was just a matter of getting the farmers, the people that grow plants to do it.
Okay. That's where I've gotten my tomato plants the past few years. So.
From Lynette?
On Ramshorn Road,
Oh, yeah, that's Farmer Tim's.
Farmer Tim's, and
There's,
across, geez, I should remember her name, across Dresser Hill down to the left by Albie Durfee area, kind of,
yeah, that's, is it Swamp Dog
maybe.
Farm? That's on the other end of Ramshorn.
Yeah,
I think it's Swamp Dog or something
I don't,
like that.
good
But
tomatoes. But anyway, yeah, that's it.
it might still happen, you know, things change, so we'll check it all out in March and April,
Okay.
and then we'll be asking you if we can put our sign out front.
Unrelated to budget, but just wondering about if the Ag Commission or Council can think about partnering with the schools. The Dudley PTO does the Fall Festival. Where
Yep.
they do their, you know, trunk or treat. They have a lot of fall-themed activities. It might be nice to have a display or, you know, even be a part of that.
Yeah, we've tried to do some with the schools. We were looking into, like, even doing like a garden with them, with the kids, and it just got pushed on the side.
It's easy
So,
to-
so I mean, at least they accepted the idea of the reading day with the books,
Yeah.
and having a little chat session afterwards. They were asking like all kinds of cute questions, like how do you make bread, and where does this come from?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's why we're asking.
Thank you.
I think I do have a budget-related question, actually. This might be more procedural. In the past, I know that this wasn't funded last year or the year before. Did we put it on the warrant for direct funding?
So, we did fund it for this current year,
Yep.
and you can see it there in the line item for FY '26. And Mr. Lukevich mentioned that most of the spending seems to happen in the spring, so we haven't seen anything presented against it yet for the original 2,500 that was presented. We have done that in the past, but Mr. Siganovich and I had a discussion. We wanted to make sure it didn't fall through the cracks, so we added it as a line item to the selectmen's budget.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I certainly don't want to see it go away. I was trying to remember like what the procedure was in the past.
Yeah, the prior years, we did go under the warrant, and that money we were using up as we were going along. But that's still accumulated. So we didn't have that much left in it after we bought all the books and everything. So that was from the warrant item in 2023, I think it was.
Gosh, it was that long ago.
Yeah. And we tried last year to get it under the budget as a line item, so we don't have to keep presenting at the town meeting and having it rejected and going back again. And so that's the reason why we're requesting it.
Ms. Gardecki, Mr. Clark, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you so much, Linda.
You're welcome. I'll try not to make too much more noise.
Before we move on, can you want to just go through selectmen, seeing that we're here already?
Sure. Let's do it.
And I appreciate the FAA members that were able to come tonight on short notice, because we had a reconnoiter from Monday's weather event, and thank you to the selectmen for making the effort to reschedule. I'm hoping we can keep these to 3 or 4 joint meetings and be done with it, but we'll see how things progress. So under the selectmen's budget, we also have the same line item being requested as last year, that $14,050. That's for our independent insurance consultant. And that's why it, from previous years, it seems like such a jump in that line item. I just want to make sure we explain that. And we've been talking, the finance team has been talking about how we will fund the request from the Recreation Commission, whether it's going to be a line item similar to the Ag Commission, or if it's going to be its own separate budgetary requirement. I think it makes sense to kind of manage it through the Board of Selectmen and present it as a line item budget. And we also benefit where if it's not all spent, it becomes free cash, and we can apply it towards unpaid bills at the end of the year if it's not used up, as opposed to having it as a warrant article, it just sits there. Who's next, me?
Yeah, any other questions on the selectmen budget before we move on? Okay, great. Next up, it looks like Board of Health. Should be page 5. Wherever's comfortable. You can have a seat.
Board members, FAA, this is Justin Lappin. I don't think we've had an official public introduction, but he's our health agent, who recently brought on board, and he's hit the ground running.
Welcome, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Pretty simple. Agent salary, everything else is staying the same. There was a little bit of change in the animal inspector stipend, and I don't know if you guys want to explain that a little more. I guess it happened last fiscal year that someone was appointed new.
Ed. All right.
So, I don't, he kind of has been, the animal control has fallen under the police department, so maybe the chief wants to come up and talk about it for a second.
Well, this is actually animal inspector.
I know, but he
Does them both? Okay.
does them both, so it's kind of the police department's employee at this point.
So the animal control officer, Ed Hart, works under the police department to uphold any animal laws. The animal inspector portion falls on the Board of Health, where he inspects kennels and follows up with dog bites. That's pretty much the state standard. That's why that animal control officer gets a stipend from the Board of Health, because he reports to the Board of Health on that, but also reports to me with animal control issues. So in most towns, that person does both jobs, and he gets some kind of a stipend to do both jobs. So when I get to the police budget, we'll kind of dig deep a little bit into his portion on the police side.
Perfect, thank you.
The rest is pretty much level funded, a little bit of an increase for the software, inspectional software that goes up on an annual basis. There's a little increase on that.
Under the inspection line item, I'm just curious, like, do we know what the difference was between FY25 and FY26? I know we're looking to level fund it from this year to next year, but I'm just curious.
The difference from one to the next, I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys can answer that.
I think the budget was off
Okay.
for the 3,000. I think
Okay.
it was too low.
Yeah, I mean.
And when they didn't have Ed in place, so it was a different calculation.
I think what happened was, and you're correct, I was paying the bill out of my budget, and I found out I was paying the bill out of my budget, and I tried to dump it back on the Board of Health.
Okay.
And we added some money in October to pay for the remainder of the year.
That's right.
And they paid through expenses, general expenses. So this year it's solidly calculated into as a Board of Health expense.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions? Mr. Clark? Ms. Gardecki? Any questions for Justin? Nope. Okay, all right. Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Have a good rest of the night.
You too. Next up, police. Chief, we should have probably just had you stay put. I know it's a long walk.
On page.
I got the biggest line item, so.
And if you haven't found it yet, it's on page 4.
I'll kind of go through most of the line items are contractual obligations. All the wages are contractual obligations. If you go down, there was a slight increase in overtime. The overtime budget stayed the same for the last couple of years. Because of wages going up every year, we had to accommodate a little bit of an increase there. The next one would be increase in education incentive. Again, that's a contractual obligation that the CBA was agreed upon. Animal control. So this is the one that I was just talking about. Our animal control officer right now is scheduled at just at 15 hours a week. And when they did a study, when state did a study on our animal control expenses, animal control salary, in the 8-9 communities around us, we were way below everybody else. I believe we were about a tenth of the next lowest department. So we're getting a bang for our dollar from our animal control officer. I'm so happy that he's with us, but I'm trying to increase his hours to 18 because there is a lot of work. We have a dog in the shelter that he has to go down there twice or 3 times a day to check on. That alone right there eats up his hours a week if we have an animal in the shelter, never mind all the other issues. So there was a slight increase there. In the training costs have gone up just for classes alone. It's gone up over the years. The expenses, slight increase. Everything's gone up just like everybody's seen. The prices of oil changes, prices of tires have gone up. Everything's gone up. The biggest increase for us is Taser. We just ended our contract with Taser, and we had to sign a 5-year lease with them, and they own the monopoly on tasers. So they tell you what the price is. There's no negotiations. So in order to keep our costs down, we were able to negotiate with them, but it still went up about $4,000 or $5,000 alone on our lease because you can't buy tasers anymore. You got to lease them. That's how they own the monopoly on you. We signed a 5-year deal, and then after 5 years, we come back to the table. Unless there's another company that comes by, it's not going to
But
change.
they won't be able to call them a taser.
No.
So there was a slight increase there. And the only other thing that I added on the bottom, you see there's a detective position that we're trying to get. Out of the 40-plus communities in Worcester County, we are the only department that currently does not have a dedicated detective. This year, so far, we've had a couple big cases. We had a bank robbery in town a few months ago, if everybody remembers. We had an elderly woman robbed almost $100,000, armed robbery. We had a larceny from another elderly female, $25,000. We were able to regain most of her property. We've had 2 motor vehicle homicides, unfortunately, that last year that 2 people passed away. We also investigate, we are the first responders to any unattended deaths. When there's somebody that passes and there's no hospice care or anything like that, our officers conduct a preliminary investigation that normally in normal departments gets passed on to the detective, and then that detective works with state police to figure out if they're going to investigate further. Our officers do all that right now, and that is approximately 20 to 30 unattended deaths that we get a year. Overdoses, it's been a good year, but it's been a very positive year that we didn't have a lot of overdoses, but there was one year we did have over 25 overdoses. Some of them were fatal. And again, right now the lieutenant is the one that follows up with the overdoses. Domestic violence, most departments have a detective dedicated to follow up with domestic violence cases. Our town, unfortunately, another unfortunate stat, we have about 30 to 40 arrests every year for domestic violence. That detective is able to follow up with the victims to try to offer extra resources or guide them, to get those resources. We also had, unfortunately, we had an individual from Shepherd Hill that was involved in some child porn charges out of Taunton. We had to dedicate a lot of hours of our officers to investigate to make sure there was no wrongdoing at Shepherd Hill. And we had, recently, we had a break and entering at Yummy's, which again, our officers are investigating. So that alone, because of our officers are investigating, doing a lot of follow-ups on these cases, we've dedicated over $12,000 alone this year for overtime just to follow up on some of these cases. If we have a detective, we're able to free up the officers to focus more on patrol, and maybe that way they can follow up. And the biggest one is, you know, I hope it never happens, but unfortunately, we do have sexual assault cases in our town. We had 11 sexual assault cases in our town in the last 12 months. Our officers are great investigators. They're certified. They're certified to take the initial reports, and they follow up with whatever needs to happen. But the way I look at it is like, I have a daughter. If something was to happen to my daughter, I'd want somebody dedicated 24/7 to her case. And our officers are dedicated, but a detective position, you have somebody there that just starts right from the beginning to the end. So I think it's just important to have that position. And, you know, it's something that we've been urging to get. It's just because of finances in town, like everywhere else, we haven't been able to, but it's something that our department really needs to put forth at some point.
How does the estimated pay that's like listed in the budget ask, how does that stack up against like new detectives kind of?
So that's a new,
area?
so what would happen is that's a position. So what happens is we would have to hire a patrol position, get that rolling, make sure that person is already on the road, and then we would take somebody from our current roster, and I call it a promotion, but basically you assign them to a detective position. And you know, like I said, we do have officers that are qualified, but if they're working their 8-hour shift and they're busy, they can't follow up on a lot of stuff that needs to be followed up on. And like I said, we are one of the only departments in Worcester County that does not have a dedicated, even the Brookfields have dedicated detectives, and they're a lot smaller than we are. And I understand that we do have 17 full-time members, but because of all the post requirements, all the training requirements set by the state tells you to do things, but then they don't want to give you money to do it. It falls on the town. So that's why the last couple of years, more standards, more requirements, but it falls back on the town to do it.
Any other questions from the board?
Related to the overtime increase and the offset that bringing a detective position on, you mentioned that you dedicated about $12,000, in overtime for those additional hours. What else is attributing to that $10,000 increase for overtime?
So this year, I'm not sure if I'm definitely gonna go over 120,000, but it's something that I'm probably gonna have to try to transfer out of our licensing to carry, maybe line item to offset those costs. But the biggest thing is the $10,000 doesn't even account for the money that we spent this year for the investigations. Usually, when I looked at the prior years, for the whole year of investigations, we usually budget. We spent about $5,000 in investigations. This year's just been a bad year for just important things that need to be followed up on. And again, we made sure that we stayed on top of it, because again, God forbid something out of any of those investigations, I don't want anybody pointing their fingers at me and saying, how come we didn't fully investigate it? So we have a dedicated patrol that will do it, but you're pulling them off the road to do a lot of stuff, and then the cost is there.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Beck?
So, I was surprised by the 63, but they're not coming in at 60. The person who's a detective isn't coming in at 63, the person who's patrol taking over.
Correct.
Salary and.
Yes, so we're, so I put in 63 as a, that would be an entry-level position. And then you would take one of these patrol positions and basically change it to a detective. So you would leave the name there and just change it from patrol to detective. And then the new position would technically be a patrol position.
Okay. Yeah, because I would think it's whether it's treated as a promotion or not, you'd think that they.
Yeah, it's going to be a senior guy, senior officer that if they get assigned to a detective position, it's going to be a senior officer, obviously with experience and a lot of training
Yeah.
that
Okay.
we try to do.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, treasurer collector.
Just the agenda. Thank you.
I'll begin.
And again, this budget is on, this section of the budget is on page 2.
Here we go. Good evening. I echo Mr. Ruta's thanks for not missing a week. I'm sure at one point on Monday, people wanted to be at work rather than dealing with all of that. But it's better if we can put this, we can have our go through it, so it's not a 3-hour night. And if I continue talking, it'll be a 3-hour night. So with that, that first third of the treasurer collector budget, the number one thing for me is that part-time person. It's the restoration of what was put in there probably 13, now 14 years ago. No one in the town of Dudley pays regularly. Everybody is, as soon as the bill is there or just on the due date. So what we're hoping to do is eliminate some of those pinch points. I wrote down a few thoughts as to what's going on or what went on today. There's 11,000 excise, there's 2,500 water sewer bills. In addition to, independently of my office, the water and sewer has set out their shut-off notices. There's also dog licenses, there's abatements, there's also census information. It's being able to get that additional person for these busy times to sort of get everything sorted out. In addition to that, we want to be able to manage some of the vacation time. We don't want everybody fighting to take the last 2 weeks of June, or else they lose time. It'll better allow me to manage everyone's time off, including my own. I guess the most important part of this is these additional hours are going to be is coverage for somebody who's going to be out on leave. And we want to make sure that we're not shutting the offices down. Secondarily, the Mass Collector Treasurers Association is increasing the amount of educational days that they're having. Even if it's a half-day remote, it's a day the door is closed, at least on one side. Think of the tax title. The tax title used to be formulaic. Mark everything, send your letters out, it goes in the newspaper. After 14 days of complaints, everything goes forward. The tax taking took a little longer this time and was quite involved, and it took someone a great deal of time every day to sort out all of those payments so that we don't have any compliance issues. So it's one of those things that I think it's important to manage so that everything is done in a timely manner. And I do appreciate that it continues on here, and I appreciate your consideration moving it forward to the higher level that is on there. For some of the costs that are associated with the office, the data processing, the postage, when it says software upgrade, that is the total bill for Vadar. back to tax title, and the the treasurer's budget. We've kept those level, and I say level for now. A great deal of the spend for the bill processing and additional items are probably in May and June. So it really isn't the linear spend where your Medicare is the best example, 1.45, and you have maybe a monthly spike when you're paying your educational incentive or your firefighters, twice a year for your Quinn bill, items like that. But for the most part, it's pretty level. If anything, those items seem to be a little heavier towards the end of the year. The unemployment self-insurance trust last year was just $1. Remember, we have a trust, we put dollars in it, so when there's an unemployment claim, we're not touching a budgeted line item for it. The event we have a wonderful year and no one's unemployed or eligible for unemployment, the money stays in there and we earn interest on it. County retirement. Worcester Regional Retirement System goes through and provides the assessment. They've taken the snapshot every other year, calculating what the town of Dudley has for liabilities, less expected contributions from the payroll, and the difference is going to be that unfunded in addition to a normal cost. The number here is done by KMS Actuary, so it's sort of a bill on things. We smile if you look, the percentage change of 9.05, the retirement board had adopted a funding schedule not to exceed 10%. So with a reduced interest rate for your funding schedule, you've gone through and actually had a lesser increase, if that makes sense. So again, unfunded pension liability for everything that was already out there in addition to what is expected. Questions on that? And for clarification, there is a breakout. The town of Dudley has enterprise system and they've separated out water, sewer, and water and sewer, and how the water and sewer department address that as far as whether it's the 060 or 061 department budgets. Those numbers are in there. And again, we pay everything on July 1st, so we save half a year's worth of interest on it. So
That's not a discretionary item, right? That's
No.
pretty much, yeah.
No,
that's
it's
told to you what
it's
gonna be.
correct.
No.
We've that's a good point. I don't think you could actively manage your outstanding pension obligations. It's too deep, but it's fair. You have an actuarial valuation that there's a Rich Carmignani bucket, and they're going to say, my chance of living for the next 12 months is, and they will go all the way out to 105 at 100%. And so that is our assessment, but we have it refined to be the least cost going forward. The next item up is group insurance. This is your health insurance. Yesterday, the Hampshire Council of Governments Insurance Trust had their vote for the IAC. 12.48% is what was voted. I say it's a good number, but it's not a perfect number because we don't know who's going to be on the insurance. We don't know, it's what happens with the Joneses. If there is someone who is getting health insurance through a spouse, not through the town of Dudley, and the town of Dudley has what they consider an attractive health insurance package, we could be gaining people. Conversely, if there's a local employer that has something that's more affordable or in someone else's eyes a better fit, We could be losing people, but at the end of the day, the formula for this is current enrollees plus expected hires for the upcoming year. So as we have our open enrollment, you would expect the number to tighten up. But again, we don't know what's going to happen. Fingers crossed everybody has a healthy year while they're enrolled. As far as Medicare tax goes, again, I would expect every time a salary goes up, we have 1.45% for budgeting purposes. The best number is going to be that number that is closer to June 30th, or more accurately, closer to that town meeting where we'll have the actuals for that. Little bit different in how things are performed now. Previously, there was billing out to your enterprise and through any grants, and the money would come back. Right now, it is direct as it's paid. So at the end of the day, you have the general fund being charged, you have sewer, you have water, and any grants that are paying for this. So the number that's been charged is as firm as it could be going forward. Next item up, we have insurance general. That is your property, your casualty, your cyber. It also includes your notary. It is going to include your drone policies. All of the vehicles that were authorized a little less than a year ago, the older ones come off and the newer ones come on. So I have an unofficial number in there pending the return. We have a separate questionnaire for public official liability, police liability. We have IOD, which is public safety injury benefits. We also have a workers' comp coming up. Maya provides the whole package for things. On top of the renewal, there are credits from Maya because we have been with Maya for a decent amount of time, and we've done certain things that have earned us credits. It's not dollars to use, it is dollars to reduce the next renewal. So we have a few things to sort out. I would imagine we'd have a very firm number coming in. The 10% was the outer limit, but until underwriting touches it, our 10% is a strong placeholder. Next item up, maturing debt, interest and debt. So we have our issuances. I made reference to the public safety vehicles. In fiscal 26, we borrowed $349,000 for Eagle Drive remediation and borrowed the money for 2 public safety vehicles, 1 fire, 1 police. The schedule says we'll have another one coming up. There is going to be an unknown amount of borrowing necessary to complete the playground. We have authorization for the full dollar amount in the event we are not reimbursed, so they're not going to hit free cash if we ever get to that point. We are looking to manage what's going to be borrowed well in advance of the end of the year so that we can, instead of borrowing for a single period, we could stretch it out for 5 years or 10 years. Clearly, we don't want to borrow $50,000 for 10 years. We'd like to match it with something. Whatever is going to be approved at this town meeting could also be added on to that. There is nothing for the Eagle Drive project as of yet. The next item up, Webster Dudley intermunicipal principal and interest. Those dollar amounts are it's a pass-through. The Webster sewer plant provides the number. It's approximately 17% of the capital outlay. The OPEB expense, again, The more government we get, the more government we need. We need to go through and identify other
Post-employment.
post-employment benefits. Thank you. We're going through and we're doing that. Again, retroactively, it's going to be 6/30/2025. We've taken the picture and identified our obligations going forward. So we're sort of doing what the retirement board is doing, but on a smaller scale and a much more limited capacity. And then the OPEB trust, we are not close to any funding schedule that's significant. $10,000 beats zero. We have done well on the OPEB trust, but we're still not at the point where we're actively managing the promises that we've made. The best example is you have a town administrator. When the town administrator retires, there is a benefit that is promised. In a perfect world, X amount was put away year one, and as you're moving forward, you're using some of the principal and some of the interest to pay those costs, and those costs they're not shrinking back to your health insurance where it's roughly 12.5%. So when you think of things that way, it's going to be difficult to fund things in that you could argue you could beat inflation with your investments, but not health insurance increases at 12.5%. I would love to be able to figure out how we could do that legally, but I don't think that's part of it. Questions on any of these? We have a return coming on a few of these.
I have to go like through the chair.
I would prefer if you went through I think the
Through the
chair would
chair,
would
okay.
ask a question
Well,
first.
I have more of a comment, and it has, the very large line item for the group insurance. That there's some volatility in that, like, it's a best guess, but we are also in the process of evaluating other options. So that's if we stayed with Hampshire County Trust, and so that, it could go either way. I just wanted.
We have an IAC meeting on the 3rd, March 3rd.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yeah. And we should have some returns, hopefully from Maya. We should have a better idea as to which options are going to be better for the town. And the IAC will act on those, and we'll have a better number at that point. Okay, well, I'll withhold further comment at this point. Too early to say, but we'll have it soon.
Any other questions from the board? Mr. Sarczewski.
Through the chair, Rich, thank you very much. Great description. I understand a lot more about your budget than I ever have. With respect to VADAR, it's a question I've got related to the modules we have and the maximizing of the efficiency we have with the system. Are we utilizing that to full capacity? And if we are, that's great. I'm curious to know about the collector clerk position, how involved that individual would be with VADAR. And if we're not, what are the plans to ensure that all hands that touch VADAR are up to speed on how to use it to its max?
I smile. The part-timer is a master's candidate, so duck to water as far as technology goes. If anything, I'd like to get another point of service scanner, which means I need another laptop. I'd like for those things to follow. You still need to manually process your checks and what have you, but she has her own logins. She's scanning checks under her own Unibank login. If you want to go down to that granular level where L. Gates signs in as and processes everything and hits the hard return and does all of those items. So there's full utilization for a lot of, I'm trying to say, she's got access to pretty much everything. I mean, she's not doing anything as far as generating bills or anything like that. I sort of reserve that. That's,
Understood.
it's also not the printing of the excise bills is done outside of the office, and it's the courtesy that's being offered by the deputy collector. Printing things in-house, it's a matter of making sure that we're all tied out with the assessor, hitting the hard return and making a PDF file to get everything printed and then processed. So yeah, we're trying to think of all the modules. I did a turnover today to myself to go through and process the deductions check. So really, we are at full use for it. Is there something specific for a VADAR not being utilized? I mean, I'll go the other direction. Right now, we're pulling in files from a third party. There is an upload for it. It's the hard return. It's the third-party bank statement that says you have $100,000 from a tax escrow service. We have a login to a portal from that third party, the upload into VADAR, everything printed and tied out. We have the ability to pull the Unipay system to go through and line everything up. So today, the normal schedule is Thursday morning to Wednesday night. For consistency's sake, all of those payments are processed digitally. The check-free payments where it's supposed to be a checklist process, even those are captured remotely and digitally so that we're grabbing as many of those as we can. It's only when there's a misspelling on something that those third-party transaction people aren't grabbing it. There are banks who will take our VADAR file or Munis or the other ones and run a lockbox. So instead of I'd be guessing 50 to 75 cents per transaction, we're doing that in-house. And the part-timer is doing that as well. So we're doing that in addition to those who still moisten their thumb and count money out at the counter. So at no point will you ever be able to eliminate counter service because it's almost demanded. But as far as technology goes, I haven't been able to add anything else other than a credit card processor at the desk, and that's a separate conversation because if you pay through our third-party processor, that convenience fee is not the Town of Dudley's charge or cost. If you come to my counter and I process your credit card, it is expected that the processor is assuming that 3% fee, or it's the approximate of. So I've made the decision, maybe we let the banks do that. There is a great value in the platform, which is the Unipay platform. What is up there is what can be paid. You can't spitefully pay all but $2 of it. If your bill is $123.45, you can't add money to it. You can't try to pay it a second time because there is a memory there. So there's some logic in there, and it's the most seamless way to do things.
I do, through the chair, again, back to the VADAR question and where VADAR is. Betterments are still an issue, and unfortunately, we only invoice the betterments once a year, so, and they're all paid around this time of year. So I do think there's some training that needs to happen with Lisa and myself to get that.
Right.
And-
So-
But, I mean, we did it, it was off. It
Right.
was-
So-
And it was a learning experience, and hopefully it'll run next year.
So the information that goes in is the information that comes out. So what's painful right now is, well, last year, when the first betterments were put on, they were manually added. With the older point system, Lisa Berg would hide in the corner and manually type in everything that was added on there. Vadar affords her a little flexibility in that when she's adding them on, it's a little more controlled. She had a spreadsheet that just got inputted on Vadar's end. I think the database is not bad. I think it requires a bit of refinement because the spreadsheet ties out as far as principal amounts. There is a date somewhere else, and the bills were generated without a test. With that in mind, I manually went through and have corrected everything. Important piece to point out, in the event something is posted, it's not subjective, it's objective. Your excise bill comes in and it's Bill 100. It's a hard return and it posts to wherever the program said it was. We knew there was an issue, so in groups we were able to isolate who on Tobin Estates, who on St. Anthony's, and who on Partridge Hill had made a payment and where it went. So we have a negative and we have the positive, and what will end up happening is we'll tie back out. So think of the excise module. I paid my excise. There's communication throughout Vadar. It says Rich Carmignani paid for his van. We'll be able to tie all of that out, and ahead of next year's billing, we'd be able to do a test, even if it's just a dummy, if we could.
Yeah, thanks. Through the chair, I was just curious about, if we are increasing the hours of the collector clerk part-time position, if we had a system with the garbage in, garbage out type model, right? We don't have all that official good data that's been loaded in. Could the clerk position start going through using those technological skills that this person's got and start catching up to make sure that we've got the right data in the system?
Vadar is still a success. The headache for the items that have already been sent over, we hit the hard return and sent out bills. Your 2023 real estate still have an income and expense tied to a 2022 income and expense receipt code. So at the end of the day, until the last one is paid, we know there's still something coming there. Fewer and fewer of them coming out. Going in, from day one, real estate was not an issue, excise was not an issue. So I think it was the addition of that module coming in where there is an issue. Last year, everything for the betterment module that had been billed was collected. So fingers crossed, there's no heirloom data out there that we believe has an issue. And really, that's the beauty of a spreadsheet. You have a pink cell somewhere where yes, Joe Jones, 100 Main Street, has an issue, and when it clears itself, we can do that. Plus, that's part of the monthly reconciliation with the accountant. It's the skim through things where, hey, wait a second, why are we?
Mr. Siganovich.
This part-time clerk, isn't this the one we voted to help get caught up beginning of last fiscal year?
I think that's,
Because
was-
if it is, it's my intention that that had a beginning and an end, not a beginning and an increase.
I don't believe I hired anybody during that period. It had a beginning and it had an end.
I'll have to go back and look. Thank you, that's all.
And I appreciate, the board had afforded that opportunity, and no one was here. We have someone who started after that, and it was under the guise of the restoration of that part-time person.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. We're having this
Brian,
conversation.
Joan, any questions?
Yeah, so what is the timing of, like, say, the excise, like, when you send it out? Like, I think there's an opportunity here if we can send it out just a smidge later, or send the online bill a smidge earlier, maybe save ourselves a little paper and some stamps. Like, I got an email saying I have my excess bill due, I paid it, and then 2 weeks later, I got the paper bill.
I smile. You bring up an interesting point. Unibank or Unipay has their own system. Mass General Law says I must make the attestation that the 10,000 whatever bills that were committed have been mailed. And that's the fulfillment of it. On the other side, there is a PDF file of everybody's bills that are out there in the event you need to look it up. The file has been put up. So you're right. We got those bills out in the mail well ahead of, people were able to pay the bills ahead of them receiving a paper bill, but the electronic notification is a courtesy that originates outside of my office. So I appreciate that. And that's been the test. I smile. The water bills and the excise bills all work because I have them and I pay them. It's one of the things that I do to make sure that it works. Also, you want to talk about optics. It cost me 50 cents to pay for excise and a water sewer bill. So it's less than a stamp. And you have your digital receipt on it, but
Yeah, it would just be nice if you could wait to put the final list in after you get some payments already, and then just once it up for the ones that you need. But I got you. It's just computers versus real life.
there is when I was president of the Mass Collectors Treasurers Association, they allowed digital billing, and it's impossible to manage at a local level. The workaround for it is still sending out your bills, minimizing the cost in that the actual printing and the paper is done as a courtesy by the deputy collector, and really we're just paying for the processing for that. But I appreciate all the feedback.
Like digitizing, it'd be nice if we could get something, whether it's just an intern from, Nichols to come in and help with some of this stuff.
Yeah, I do wonder, kind of along those lines, if if there's an opt-out provision. So tangentially, like, there are a lot of regulations that govern, like, whether collection, obviously, and one of those things is that you have to mail notices. However, there are some carve-outs for, like, opting out and opting into electronic instead of having, and I kind of wonder if maybe this would be something to look at down the line, if there are any other municipalities in the state that have moved to that kind of model, just to try to eliminate some of the paper processing and things like that for people that want it. Because if that PDF is being generated anyway, for them to then print the bill, like,
And you might be going right into this. Some places will charge you more if you choose to still get the paper.
right,
'Cause they
which
know
we
they're
don't
paying.
necessarily want to do. Like, I at least I don't, like, at this
I-
juncture, but it's just a thing to think about. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll I'll send my emails out. I think, again, the management of it at a local level it's a stinker, and if there is one bill that's difficult, there's 4,500, 4,600 residences in Dudley, and we're sending out 12,000 bills. I'm smiling because how many people, this is their only bill to pay? They don't have a water bill, they don't own a house, and hence processing cash. So it's a balance. We'll see if somebody's got a solution. You would believe that the Unibank notification simplifies things, but doesn't eliminate the town. And again, I remember discussing 32-cent stamps versus 37-cent stamps versus my predecessor in the collector's office saying, if you got them done by 10 o'clock, they would be in the local boxes after lunch, that's a model of efficiency, unfortunately.
Okay, any other questions? Rich, thank you so much. I think that's it. Great. Moving along, town accountant. So this is back on page 1, towards the bottom.
Yes, very short. My salary is contractual, so not much there. And then I do plan on retaining assistant accountant for that function, for that. And expenses are just normal office expenses that come through. Ink and toner tend to be, unfortunately, I'm printing. So, and then the seminars and classes are primarily resolve around trainings that I go to for the MMAAA. That's what I bill. I also have a CFE and a CGFM that require annual dues and CPEs, but I try to use the CPEs I get from the MMA to sustain my certifications and licenses. So, and I think that's about it. The software support item is a retainer that I keep with Kinshirk Accounting, and I want to keep it one more year. I'm thinking about cleaning up the chart of accounts and may need some support with someone who can assist me with the VADAR. So VADAR has recommended an individual, and they also have helped me as I learn my role with the Massachusetts reporting requirements to ensure that everything's booked properly. So that'll wean out eventually. And that's about it, so.
Any questions?
Yeah, just curious about the assistant salary. Is it you cut hours, or I assume the
What?
person, your assistant salary went down from last year?
From 25.
Yeah,
Where am I? The assistant salary.
I think that was,
45 to 30.
Oh, yeah. The 45 was more. What happened is we brought back Deb Thibodeau for a couple out, well, not like 16 hours a week. She's helping me. So she comes in and, she just helps with some of the more detailed items.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just,
and I look
before
to
she used to
hire.
work more, or is that?
What?
I guess why,
Well, it was
45 down
less.
to 30, I was just
Originally,
curious.
the budget for 25, the vision was to hire a full-time,
Okay.
like a recent grad.
Gotcha.
Maybe,
Yeah.
some 30 to 40
Yeah, you
hours
just
a
got her on the
week.
side for
I have her.
16,
Yeah, I
okay.
also had an intern last summer that went into that bucket too. So,
And that's through the chair, always been up and down, because when we brought Sarah in, we wanted to have a nice transition with Deb retiring, so we put a little extra money into the assistant salary. We previously had a full-time position there, but we used that assistant salary to offset the initial cost of bringing in Sarah to have a transition with Debbie. So We'll get to the right number eventually.
No,
We're getting there.
We're always surprised when numbers go down here, so, you
Yeah,
know,
well,
just trying to get a.
Those are the
understanding.
questions.
No,
you might
it'll
ask, for
come
sure.
back.
there are too many
up,
more
yeah,
surprises
but-
coming up,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, there was a lot of work to do to like document and understand everything that was going on. So I wasn't comfortable bringing in a new person unless I could really give them solid policies and procedures and.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So-
if someone leaves, they got a document for the
Yeah.
next person, so we just lost someone at our place, I got, yeah.
In a perfect world, there's succession documents.
It's much better. So.
Any other questions? Nope, okay. Going on to highway. Mr. Ruda.
I am going to ask if the board would move highway to the next meeting, because
we'll do that.
I don't think the highway superintendent has slept in the last week.
Yeah.
And he hasn't, we really haven't had a chance to dig down, and he hasn't really had a chance to prepare for a budget meeting either, so.
That works. Table that. And then IT.
I'm gonna do IT.
Yep,
Uh,
IT's at the top of page 2.
Yep. We began replacing our desktop PCs. I'm doing this for Amanda, so bear with me, please. We replaced the first phase of our desktop ITs in this current fiscal year, which is reflective of that 17,705. The final phase will be 18,000. It's probably gonna be a little bit less, but we wanted to fund it at 18,000 in case we run into any issues, and that's total replacement of all the desktop PCs in the town hall.
And is that replacing desktops with desktops?
Well, in some cases, like Sarah has it's replacing she's getting a laptop in place of a desktop.
Okay.
But she's got an empty desk for her assistant in there, which is being used, so that PC would necessarily have to be replaced as well. So
Okay.
It's a like cost.
Got it.
Anyway. Online services reflects our, no increase. That's opened up.
contractual.
It's contractual, right? So that's a real number. Help desk. If you look down, you'll see some line items that are not funded, where she's not gonna be requesting funding for FY '27. And I guess we didn't make that change in there, did we? Or do you have it on yours?
Backup
Well, there's
services
one
and
thing
VPN
also.
licenses.
Yeah. So, all right, let me read from my notes here. Help desk fire, the fire department is currently paying out of its own budget for this current fiscal year for help desk services. Next fiscal year in '27, the cost of the fire department being part of that help desk service is being placed in this line item. So that shows some of the increase there. So it's not gonna be coming out of the fire department budget. We're instead putting the money into the IT budget, so we'll have all of our help desk services in one place. That also covers the highway as well, as far as this year is concerned. I mentioned that Amanda is resigning, so we're outsourcing 24/7 coverage for our IT until we can find the right person to coordinate those services, but not necessarily respond to those services and perform the technical skills that Amanda used to. So it's all being outsourced. The cost savings you realize in that is, of course, in the health insurance and benefits. Licensing line item, backup recovery line item, VPN line item / duo are going to become part of that expense in the help desk line item. So that's being combined. Adobe Pro, there are more licenses that we needed, so that cost went up, plus the cost of the licensing to begin with. Civic Plus is showing a 5% increase, which is, that's part of the contract. And I've already explained the desktop PC replacement. So when you look at the biggest jump in that budget, it's help desk services, but it's because we're consolidating and outsourcing more of those services rather than to replace it with a position and spread it across the entire town general fund budget. I'll do the best I can to answer questions for you if you have them. Firewall switches, we always want to have an emergency fund. It's almost like they were designed to do this. We had one firewall go on this side, and then we had another one failing, which made our internet as slow as if we had dial-up for about a week. So we want to purchase 2 sonic walls, have them in stock so that we can have them put back into place when they fail, and they do fail all the time, so. If you have any questions about that, I'll do my best. I'll get the answer for you for the next meeting.
Any questions?
Rich has a thing.
Oh. Mr. Carmignani.
Whatever you're doing in the IT department, you're headed in the right direction. We had a snow day. I was able to get in. I have a laptop, I have the VPN, the Duo, the firewall. I can't log into anything without my phone beeping twice. So safety-wise, I sleep well at night. I sleep well at night anyway, but the people at the insurance company sleep well at night because there's enough protections for things. And like I said, you're headed very much in the right direction. You're going to have those days like Patriots Day, the day after Thanksgiving, all of those days that aren't official bank holidays. I have the ability to go through and address an issue without compromising the town's security. So it's double thumbs up. Whatever you're doing, do more of it because it's working well. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that reminded me that the only line item that I think is going to move a little bit is that we requoted cybersecurity from several different firms. And of course, it didn't go down. The quotes that we got back were for the same level of service were significantly higher than 15,394. So I'm going to revisit that next week and see if we can requote and take sharpen our pencil a little bit with those quotes that we received. Keep them closer to the 20-ish area as opposed to the 15,394. That's just not a realistic number anymore. IT is getting expensive, but it's getting extremely necessary, so.
Right. Okay. We don't have any questions on that, then that's the end of the overview for the budget.
Can I just
So
add
far.
one more
Yes.
thing, Madam Chair? And
Please
this is going to come up at another joint meeting, and it's a cost center, and it's a cost center only because it's going to be either a purchase cost, manpower cost, or it may generate fines. But I wanted to just kind of have a conversation, and I created this draft bylaw, which you guys already have.
Yeah, we have it.
I have
Everybody else
one.
wanna take a look?
Jake?
Come back.
I created this draft bylaw. I haven't put it on the draft line yet because I'm not really terribly excited about the solution of just amending an existing bylaw. One of the issues we've dealt with, and it's come through the PD, it's come through, we've spoke to our new health agent about it, we've spoken to town council about it, we've received many complaints over the counter about it, and the highway's ready to pull what's left of his hair out. Is sidewalks being kept clear now? It's not lost on anybody that there's, in some cases, 6 feet of snow on sidewalks that I would probably have a heart attack if I tried to go out there and shovel it myself. I can imagine some of the residents who are even more elderly than me, or may have some mobility issues, or whatever the case may be, trying to go out there and clear their sidewalks to avoid being fined. On the other side of the coin, there are people who go out there and do it, you know, at their own physical peril, and they get it done, and it's safe. And there could be people who are just not going to do it because they don't feel like doing it. We have a bylaw in the books currently that says every owner, tenant, or occupant of an estate or operator of a business, that's not part of it, but abutting upon a hard-finished sidewalk, shall keep the sidewalk free from all dirt, rubbish, refuse, oil, snow, and ice, or other like substance. That being said, there's no authority to enforce it. The police have to be empowered, the highway and code enforcement official, board of health agent, no matter who it is. The bylaw has to empower somebody to enforce it, and if they're gonna issue fines, they have to assign specific fines to it, and that's a function of the town meeting. I don't love that idea, because I can see my office, and just from a moral standpoint, so is somebody gonna come in 80 years old that we're gonna issue a fine to, and she just can't, or he just can't manage to clear a 6-foot snowdrift off the sidewalk in front of their house? I don't think it's the absolute solution. There are other options. They're costly options. We go out and we buy snow removal equipment specific to sidewalks, and we hire someone more on the highway department, or we outsource it and we pay somebody to do it. Or we ignore it. And something happens, and somebody, because of the high snow drifts, gets into traffic, and there could be some tragic thing that could occur as a result of it. So I'm at a loss, and I'm looking for some direction. I'm looking for direction from department heads, FAA, if they have any ideas, the Board of Selectmen. The final thing is, the big city of Worcester, the second largest city in the Commonwealth, has issued 450 fines to people who haven't cleared their sidewalks. So they don't have the equipment to do the sidewalk clearing. They're issuing fines to 450 people in Worcester as of this morning from the last snowfall. So what do we do?
If I can just add, our animal control officer issues dog violations right now for unlicensed, and when it comes up to court, we don't go to Dudley District Court, we have to go to Worcester Housing Court. And I believe these fines would also end up at Worcester Housing Court. So there's the enforcement part, and then to collect the fines, you then have to send somebody to housing court on behalf of the town to enforce those fines. So there's a lot more complication than just giving somebody a ticket and they pay. If they don't pay, it's a process. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that too, that there's a lot more than just goes on to that.
A lot of moving parts, and I noticed our new planner, Bruce Webb, hiding in the back there with probably all kinds of ideas going through his head, but he's afraid to say anything, to be drawn into the controversy. And still,
Yeah, Mr. Sikanovich.
It seems like it's going to cost a lot more to collect the $25 ticket than what would come
and does
in.
it solve the problem?
And I'm not speaking to, the validity of it happening, I'm just saying it sounds like an expense to the town. The other piece is, if you're going to do this, I think you should have something about things on sidewalks, whether it be automobiles, sawhorses. What's the use of having a sidewalk clear if you let people park on it?
It's a can of worms for sure.
It is, and this will keep, I think this is a process.
Believe me, I've struggled with this over the last week or two with the snow. Think about how we solve the problem. We could ask volunteer organizations, right? But how long is it gonna be before, when we have a couple of days of snowfall like this, we've completely won out our welcome with the Boy Scouts or the, whomever, at some point, do we act as the conduit to help people find someone who would either volunteer or at low cost, or maybe, help clear a sidewalk? We could. We'd spend 40 hours a week doing it. And we might not be successful all the time, and it doesn't necessarily clear the sidewalk. So if you have any ideas, I'm not gonna put this on the warrant unless I get some clear indication that this is what the board wants, because I don't think it completely solves the problem.
Joan?
Could Shepherd Hill have any young men or women that would like to come help him, like Jonathan said, an 80-year-old, would they have a program for that?
I don't think they have a program right now, but we could certainly reach out to them. That's an easy enough ask. I don't know how willing teenagers would be after, I know how much I didn't want to clean my own driveway. After like the third storm, and I had to because it's mine, and like nobody else is going to do it. But I mean, there are groups at the high school that are always looking for community service hours. So if that's something that we would need to head up, maybe that is a better avenue and a better use of time. I know it would be time consuming, but I guess that's the trade-off, right? It's either a higher cost and getting the equipment and having someone to do it, or putting the time in to connect with those resources. I don't know if we're going to have an answer tonight. I hope that's okay.
No, and I didn't make it an agenda item because I just wanted to put it out there and let it marinate a little bit to see if there was any ideas that might come from it.
It's not a steady stream, a guaranteed, it's this year. We haven't had the issue in 5 years, right? Because we haven't had snow, so
We
it's
had the
not-
big ice storm 10 years ago, and the National Guard was called out and helping with hydrants and that sort of thing, but there's the in-between that's killing us.
Do we have any idea what it would cost to sign a contract to have it covered, and then you can throw it on snow and ice?
You-
And
we-
then
I
raise it
mean,
on the recap?
We could quote it.
What?
We could get quotes for
Yeah,
it.
it's
To
worth
outsource
exploring
it.
it, because it's not something you can budget for, and
Well, that was I think, I'm on the fence about an enforcement policy. I view this as listen, you're a resident of the town, you're a business in town, you've got to take a good faith effort to ensure that the public is safe, right? And if you're not contributing to that, there should be an enforcement penalty. That said, from a services perspective, I lived in a town for a brief while working in private school where 4 a.m, I was woken up by a monstrous snowblower that was blowing snow into the back of a dump truck that was going down all the side streets. So I'm curious about, I know it's a manpower issue, I know it's an expense and an outlay, but rather than contracting, I'm wondering about speccing out a cost of procuring the equipment to have our team be able to do that. And residents will still take care with their rock salt and the like in the front of their properties if they wish. Ideally, they would do it all on their own, but I'm wondering if the town can move in the direction of expanding the snow removal service.
Well, that's good direction. Get some quotes, outsourcing or in-house, right?
You gotta pick the key roads, like obviously certain smaller roads, like you gotta limit the scope, make sure you get West Main Street and Mesa Road and School Street,
Yeah, it
certain
would be
key
limited
roads,
to
like you have to do.
sidewalk areas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of sidewalks in town.
Right. And we want sidewalks. That we don't want this to scare people away from sidewalks,
Right.
because on the other side of the coin, that adds to safety when it's not snowing and icy out. So, all right, I've got some direction. I'm glad it's getting close to the spring anyway.
74 degrees projected March 11th.
Yep, don't jinx it.
10 weeks.
less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't even look
Was
that
it the
far out.
Farmer's Almanac?
I got sources.
All right, so with that, I think now we're okay with
Yep.
2027, perfect. All right, so public business, financial management team policy, Board of Selectmen vote to approve policy or take any other action relative thereto. Brian and Joan, if you guys want to leave, please feel free. Don't feel like you have to stay, but I appreciate it either way. Like,
Get cold.
yeah, no, I get it. So the financial management team policy, did everybody have a chance to read it over? Any questions from the board? Sarah, would you mind just like giving a quick summary of it? I mean, I read it, but
Front of me.
yeah, I'm
I
gonna.
didn't bring it with me, but,
I got it right
maybe
here
I'll
if you
throw it
want.
to-
I got it right
You
here if
got it
want.
up here?
Oh, no.
yeah. Very, very high level, basically stating what the responsibilities are of the finance team, strategic efforts coming together, and planning, working on the budget together, looking at daily operations as they, and so it's, you know, it identifies the town administrator, the assistant town administrator, treasurer, assessor, and myself, working collaboratively to address the issues that we're presented with. So, listen, to maintain lines of communication. Blind is a bad job. So some specific goals, updating the status of assigned responsibilities and due dates related to critical procedures, reviewing budget preparation, like we work together on the budget, our own, and then bringing together the related parties. We're looking at receipts now, and monitoring day-to-day activity so that we're well informed, because a lot of our roles intersect with one another. And so just building collaboration. So, and making sure that our requirements are met, because the issues with finance in the municipal environment just keep getting more and more complicated. And so we're like protecting each other's back and
And,
working
you know,
together.
and I look at it, I mean, this is, of course, a DLS recommendation. But I also look at this in lieu of a finance department, a finance director, and, you know, essentially, this requires us, me, Sarah, Rich, Lisa, Olivia, even when we're grouchy, we still have to have a regular meeting and be in the same room and try to come up with solutions. In the absence of direction, it requires collaboration. So I think it's a good policy.
Through the chair, you know, from the perspective of, you know, highly functioning teams and dynamic, having very clear expectation, having almost a strategic perspective on the roles and responsibilities of the team, it can only lead to high functioning because the expectations are right there. It's very easy for new team members to come in, understand how this team functions. We still have to work out the dynamics, but having clarity with this, I think, is a really smart experience. And in reading the language, it was specific enough but general enough, you know, to afford, you know, a lot of latitude with the team autonomy to develop and build a good collaborative environment, from my perspective.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the, oh my gosh, to accept the financial management team policy.
Just for a point of information, when we adopt language like this, do we do this on a first read, or is this just an adoption?
We can do it as quickly or as, we can string it out as long as.
I'm just
we're-
curious, like with school committee policy, we would adopt it on first read, and then second read, and then finally, you know,
We should write a policy.
I guess, well,
For
I
adopting
think what
policies.
we've traditionally done is that after we internally massage it, we drop it on the Board of Selectmen for adoption. Usually it's not ready to go the first time, and we just naturally bring it onto the second agenda.
Okay.
But it's not at first read, second reading. We had that for a while. I think it fell along the wayside.
Yeah, because I think this was on a previous agenda and we just hadn't, like, we were having issues with the drive and nobody had read it and.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
that's
were
all.
late getting on there.
So,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the financial management team policy.
Second.
discussion. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous?
No policy.
And then, next up, the disbursements policy. Board of Selectmen vote to approve policy or take any other action relative thereto. So, could we just get, just like, again?
A
same
summary?
thing? Yeah.
Okay,
please.
this is an attempt to kind of put a circle around all the disbursement activity and just put it under who, assign responsibility to different individuals within the team, and make sure that everyone's clear on the same page.
Okay.
So very generic in language and flexible, but clearly mapping out responsibilities within the group.
Mr. Garmagnani?
Thank you. I think you have two different policies in front of you. The financial team policy was everybody saying yes, 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 and then a handful of grammatical changes, and you memorialized the team that was already there. I think on the disbursements policy, I would love another comb through it if I could. I think it needs more refinement, not getting into too many details. I think maybe at a later date, I'd be more comfortable advocating for it. I should have stood up at the financial team policy. Again, the individuals who sit here on Tuesday at 1 o'clock were all double thumbs up, and this one I don't think quite got the attention. And it would be nothing but progressive adds to that. A little bit different. I think we've set a good groundwork. For the disbursements, I think I would be more comfortable with a little bit more time. Thank you.
So may I just interject? I think maybe what we can do with this one is have a deadline for review on it. Like,
of course.
Whenever the next selectmen put it on the table, because I know we were in agreement that it was ready to go. So,
We'll
You know,
put it on
they-
the,
you
we'll
know.
put it on the next agenda.
Could we make it a blanket 2 weeks to make sure? Because we were all set to have our Monday meeting with the finance team ahead of the selectmen's meeting. And again, yes, no worries, making sure that it doesn't fall by the wayside back to the town administrator making a reference to a first read and a second read. Clearly, we want to get something like this memorialized, affirmed by the board.
3/9, okay? I think that's plenty of time, should be, right?
is that the next selectmen's meeting?
3/2 is Monday, so 3/9, so sometime in the next, it's not 2 weeks, week and a half, but we'll do something, absolutely. I appreciate it.
I mean, it doesn't have your input, so it shouldn't have come up. So let's make it ready to
It's,
go.
in my thought, if you have the financial team at the table, everyone should have an input, and
Yeah, we thought you had ample opportunity to review, but I guess
my
we'll
apologies.
take a step back and we'll get it right, okay?
Perfect.
I think
Thank you.
that's-
Mr. Chickenovic, you looked like you had a,
Yeah, could we just pass it, and
Yep.
then if, when we have a full board, if they wanna change it, they can revise it. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve it as written.
Second that for discussion.
yep, discussion.
I'd rather have something rather than nothing. And if the next meeting, I'm assuming we'll have a full board, someone can make a motion to change it. And if something comes up that we wanna change, we can change it. This way, we're making progress, we're not idle. 'Cause I think a lot of things we've been idle with, and I'm not blaming anyone for that or calling anyone out. It's just, this is movement forward. And if it needs to be changed, it can be changed at the next meeting. We've made progress, not perfection, progress.
Because these are internal policies, I guess I'll ask that question. How hard are they to change going forward?
They're Board of Selectmen policies.
Okay, so they're kind of at our discretion to make changes going forward.
Yeah.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
yes.
Okay, so
Sorry, I was thinking.
first of all, there may be some, some tweaks and adjustments that are made, after some discussion about the system. I think it's very important for us, and I was talking with TA last week about, having clearly defined, clearly articulated strategic visions for our departments and our teams. This specific policy does have roles and responsibilities for multiple entities, continuing to stress what I feel is really important, that the collective we of on the municipal side of Dudley work towards a greater end together, and having these types of policies clearly outlining expectations allows us to build a more effective system. I'd like, a separate conversation at some point about thinking about how processes for all boards and how we all work together collaboratively towards a greater end could be created. But that's separate from this conversation. So I do think it's important for us, as Mr. Siganovich said, to move forward with progress, make adjustments as we go on the fly. And I'll definitely be in favor of moving forward with this tonight.
I'll just leave it. All right. I'll wait for you to vote.
So I think that by accepting something like this today, but knowing that there may be changes coming down the pike, it leaves some room for these policies to be living documents a little bit, which we, as much as everybody wants a written policy so that they have like the nuts and bolts of like, this is exactly how we're going to do things, they're not that all the time. It is supposed to be a guideline, and we should have the flexibility to change things if they need to be changed. That's kind of all I've got for it. So
Yeah, I view it as, if it's effective adopted by the Board of Selectmen, it's effective as amended by the Board of Selectmen as well.
Right.
So there's opportunity for us to make tweaks and adjustments as we go, based on the expertise of those who are involved in implementing the policy.
I mean, how many bylaws have we changed at town meeting because of wording?
right. Things change over time too, anyway.
Absolutely.
And
This is much easier to change.
yeah. So okay. So with that, then let's just put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We'll keep it on, and then make sure that it gets chatted about at the next finance team meeting. And then if there are any changes, we can make sure it gets on the agenda for 3/9.
If I could offer a differing perspective, you don't want to write something on a whiteboard that's going to be subject to the change of a whim in 2 weeks, and it's a moving document. In my mind, you have adopted the financial team policy. You should revisit it in the event of a catastrophe, or you should revisit it at 6 months, the first 6 months, and then again annually. In my mind, you've set a policy and you've it's not a line in the sand, it's a foundational piece. And I wouldn't want anybody to view an action by the Board of Selectmen, good for now, but we're going to change it later. That was my approach for this, the idea that you have a financial team. In 6 months, you would revisit it as part of moving towards a better goal, saying what worked, what didn't work, what was not thought of, what was understated or overstated. So I appreciate that the board took it tonight. I look forward to the opportunity to it being revisited, and again, the idea that a policy moving forward would be something that would be set for a while until its merits or detractors have been identified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, TA report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mentioned Amanda Gage has submitted her resignation effective March 6th, as she has accepted a position with the town of Millis. And of course, we thank Amanda for her service to Dudley and wish her continued success in her new role. In the meantime, I'm working with Labor Council Mark Terry and Olivia to review the position to ensure that any reposting reflects duties consistent with a grade 3 classification and duties consistent with the town needs. So we're gonna take a look at that current job description, make sure it meets the sniff test with the grade 3 position. We'll speak with with our labor council, we'll speak with the union, and we're gonna repost that as soon as possible, see if we can get somebody to replace her as soon as possible. Yesterday, we held a 1-hour coordination meeting regarding the Eagle Drive remediation project, and the DEP required immediate response action as it relates to the Cap landfill. That meeting included our new health agent, Justin, along with Sean Healy from Weston and Sampson, Jeff Faulkner from Ty and Bond, Town Council Jeff Blake. We reviewed the current status of the immediate response action and ongoing environmental testing and anticipated next steps. This was an important session to ensure alignment across engineering, legal, and public health perspectives. Going forward, Justin will remain actively involved in these discussions so that we can rely on his expertise and ensure that the Board of Health is appropriately informed as the project continues to move forward. So this is an opportunity with Justin coming in to make sure that we're getting all the help and assistance we can from the Board of Health and our health agent.
Perfect.
And then finally, our shared planner with Blackstone, Bruce Webb. Can Bruce come up and just say hi?
Yes, please. I was gonna put him on the spot
wasn't
during
planning
departmental
it.
communications.
Well,
so.
That's what I'm doing now. Is coordinating a series of Zoom meetings with assistance from Olivia and Amanda to bring him fully up to speed on our grant-funded projects and the bridge project. As the board knows, these projects are in varying stages. Some are awaiting award notification, some have gone out to bid, others are under construction, and several remain in the planning phase. So the goal is to formally integrate Bruce into these efforts and transition a portion of the grant administration responsibilities back to the planner's office, which is similar to the role that Bill Scanlon provided for us before his departure. And Bruce is stepping fully into his role. Couldn't have come at a better time, and I'm happy he's here tonight, which shows his initiative, which, of course, thanks to the Board of Selectmen signing the IMA with Blackstone, we have a shared plan in place to help us relieve some of the pressure that has been on our office for a long time. So here he is.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So, yeah, I'm excited to be in Dudley. Trying to hit the ground running, and much like the town administrator says, just reaching out to as many of the stakeholders and grants and other programs that we have going on to, again, bring myself up to speed and just keep these things going and on the tracks. So,
Any softball questions for Bruce? I don't want to put him on the spot too early.
Not yet.
Perfect.
come on, go for it.
No, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We're excited.
Yeah, exactly.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'll just go back to Googling solutions for snow removal.
Love that.
So the board should also be aware that we're going to manage the grants that we have now and offload the grants that we have now before we put too much on Bruce and ask him to start helping us pursue other grants, because there's only so much capacity. And just having the help of him helping with the administration of grants will be a windfall for us.
That's huge. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept the town administrator's report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, departmental communication. Bruce has already been up, so you're good. Chief?
Just real quick, I know we had a lot of snow the last couple of days. People did a great job moving their cars off the road. Police department didn't have to respond to too many calls, moving cars or towing cars or ticketing cars, so I'm very happy with that. In a quick grant update, we received our new fingerprint machine, which is about $20,000. That came from a state, well, technically a federal grant, that was spearheaded by Sergeant Megas. And then we also got word from our communications director, Greg Linsky, that they installed a receiver up on Schofield Ave by Ramco, increasing the radio coverage for the police department, which we lacked for many years, and also a new receiver at Shepherd Hill. That project was about $24,000 that came from the state E911 grant. But the most important part is that it's going to increase our radio signal in the Schofield Ave, New Boston Road area, making hopefully our officers a lot safer. So I want to just update that and thank Greg Linsky for doing that. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Mr. Carmignani? I mean, it's just the two of you. You might as well high five on the way down.
I always say this, but please don't take it as routine. Thank you to everybody in this building. Foot traffic, this is the busy time. Also to buildings and grounds, the floors are nice and clean and everybody tracks in all of the other things. Again, we have how many bills out, people returning things to the town clerk, mail going here and everywhere. We still have the drop box. There was a senior lunch today. Traffic was rocking and rolling in here. So for everybody who helped get the right person to the right place, thank you. To the tax takings, there's just a fraction of what was advertised that's actually being taken. It's not taken. We've perfected the lien and have a priority to collect the outstanding taxes, so nobody's getting manhandled and dragged out into the snow. It is a stinker that we have a selectmen's meeting tonight because I was at the library and they have something tonight. So ring the bell. I went and borrowed a book, made sure that I really didn't get a chance to get in there because the program started at 6. But the library is a great place to go. I'll end on a sour note. I'd like everybody to ring the bell. We talk about excise taxes and the town's ability to collect excise taxes. Right now, there's legislation that's moving forward that eliminates a mark at the registry. So if we take a step back, the town of Dudley goes through and sends a bill. If you don't pay the bill in a timely manner, a fee gets added. When it goes to the deputy collector stage, you have a third-party debt collector. The teeth on that is a mark for non-renewal at the registry. We don't suspend your license. The town just goes through and interrupts your ability to renew your license and/or register a motor vehicle. The conversation right now is to lift the mark for everyone so that everyone has an equal opportunity to drive and you don't have people driving without active registrations and insurance. At the end of the day, that's a significant amount of money. The town of Dudley had $122,000 collected at the deputy collector. If you take the teeth away, remove the mark, you'll never get the money. Back to the analogy of clearing a sidewalk. If you threaten someone with a financial penalty and you don't have the ability to collect on it, magically it's not really, the enforcement isn't there. Back to my previous statement, if you don't pay your real estate taxes, we make it a priority. For the majority of the people in this town, they have a mortgage, and the mortgage company will easily address this system. So along those lines, we'd like to ring the bell to our legislators. I know we know the state rep very well. The senator as well is very familiar to this board. I will love to forward something to the town administrator, and again, we'd like to have support for this so that everybody pays their excise on time. I gain nothing by suspending a license for someone. The best situation is everybody pays all at once and we don't collect any interest. Financially, it's not a boom for us, but it's the headache later. So for fairness to everybody who pays early and on time, we'd want to make sure that enough consideration is given for this. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, board member comments. Mr. Siganovich.
Oh, this was a good meeting. We moved the needle. And we move the needle every meeting, town gets better. This is good stuff. I don't envy anyone dealing with this sidewalk snow issue, because it is something that has to be done, but what do you do? We have to do something, but it's just a matter of what. And I'm interested to see what everyone comes up with as far as a solution, us included. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Sarcheski.
Yeah, with respect to ringing the bell, I've been starting to do a lot more research. I mean, if you don't know, I'm a middle school principal. I'm wondering about, in addition to the idea of excise tax and the impacts that could have on our budget relative to advocating to the legislature for changes in the Chapter 70 funding formula, how they can start to really move the needle, be more equitable. This being a regional district, there are different rules that govern us, especially with regional transportation reimbursements, et cetera. And in looking at the last meeting that we had with the school committee, Charlton FinCom and our FAA, Charlton Board of Selectmen, we heard some, they're not large numbers, but over time those numbers continue to increase. And you know, when we're on the border of a minimum aid district, we have a lot of burden that's placed upon our taxpayers. So thinking about ways that we can open up more of a conversation about advocating to the state legislature as a board to start to move that needle. That's all I've got.
Thank you. It's food for thought, for sure. I don't have much. Just want to thank the highway department for rocking the whole weekend. I can't even imagine how tired they are. But they did a great job and kept the roads open. And I mean, what more can you ask for when there's like 2.5 feet of snow coming down in a day? And it's obviously not the first time. So if you have family members or friends that are on the Cape or Rhode Island, some of those like really hard coastal hit areas that still don't have power and are still digging out, they're not used to it the way we are. So just check in on them if they need anything. Other than that, I would call for a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of, or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual, not to reconvene in open session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Can I,
Yes.
would you consider amending that motion to say not to reconvene into open session unless required to do so for a vote?
Yes. Not to reconvene in open session unless required for a vote.
So amended.
Second.
All right, roll call vote.
Carrie Siganovich, aye.
Chris Starcheski, aye.
Jana DeShane, aye. Thank you, everybody.